like to welcome you to our newly launched show called Real Talk. And today we have another exciting topic as we continue to dissect the whole subject of mental wellness and emotional wellness. As you all know, I shared my story some weeks ago on ZNS, and I've been sharing my story in the community for a while now, and I have two sisters with me who are also my guest hosts, Italia Duncanson, and Leonora Dames. And we are seeking to educate you and to help those of you that may be on the other side of this camera and that may be going through a mental crisis, may have had an emotional breakdown, may be suffering from anxiety, depression, bipolar, whatever it is you may be dealing with. We're here to tell you that you're not alone and that there are real practical ways, spiritual ways, physical ways that you can actually deal with your situation. We know that emotional wellness and mental wellness is a very taboo subject because we look at a person suffering from a mental condition and we think it looks like the person that we see walking the streets. But we're here to put a different face on that. Yes. For those of you that know me, you would realize that I am a survivor of anxiety and depression. In fact, I am still in the midst of it, but God is a good God, and I continue to work through it day by day. So I just want to encourage you out there, you're not alone, you're not losing your mind, you are just currently going through a mental, or you're having a mental condition. So we discussed, there's so much to discuss about this, but we've discussed, you know, some of the reasons last week why you get what you get. We've also discussed some of the, I totally lost my train of thought. But anyway, let me go with what we're doing today. And yes, what we're doing today is we are discussing the biggest myths about mental breakdowns or mental illnesses, because I realized going through, my sisters realized going through that, listen, a lot of you out there, no offense intended, but you don't have a clue. If you have not actually experienced any type of mental condition, you really don't have a clue. And you know, Ma used to say back in the day, he who feels it knows it. And I'm telling you, that is certainly the case for this type of mental condition, because he who feels it knows it. And for those of you that do not feel it, I think that you have an idea of what we're going through. Mm-hmm. You think sometimes you know how to help us. Mm-hmm. Or you think we should be able to do things that we're not able to do. Mm-hmm. So today, even though this is also for my fellow persons who are going through a mental condition right now, this is also for the loved ones of those persons who are going through, because there are some myths that society is placed, and even that you've perpetuated in your mind that you feel will help, or that you actually feel you know about somebody who may be going through anxiety or going through depression. And I call them myths because myths is something that is not a reality. It's you think that you're helping, when in many cases you're not. You think that you know what we're going through, when in many cases you really, really do not. So this morning, we're gonna debunk a lot of those myths about mental conditions, about anxiety, about depression. And I'm gonna start with one, and then I am gonna go to Tali and then Nora. Now, one of the things we've noticed, you know, a lot of times when you're having anxiety or you're having depression, you know, you're very sad or you're very fearful, people have a tendency to come and say, you just need to snap out of it. Mm-hmm. Oh, that is such a myth. There's no, quote, snapping out of it. When you're talking about anxiety or you're talking about depression, or you're talking about any other type of mental condition, there is no snapping out of it. Do you agree, Nora?
Yes, I do. You just don't snap out of it. It's not a get out. We're not genie in the bottle. No,
it's
not.
And you didn't just snap into. Like you didn't plan on being where you are. You didn't plan on feeling the way that you feel. And you would do anything to not feel, well, not anything.
Almost
but
anything.
Almost
Yeah,
anything because
almost
you become
anything.
so desperate.
I do anything.
Yeah, almost.
I'll do
You
anything.
Yeah,
become-
I think I'll do anything too.
Yeah, but you become, because of the feeling, it's so overwhelming. You are so desperate for help, for change, to feel like yourself, to be yourself,
Yes.
because really you're not.
No, you're
No,
not living.
not at
You're
all.
just constantly in fear, straight through. You're in fear, and you do not. And it's worse when you do not even understand or you cannot comprehend what's going on with you.
Right.
Yes.
That's even
Right.
worse.
And that's one of the things, tailgating off of what Tali said, that's one of the things I want to mention because, for example, I suffer from anxiety, right? And anxiety is not something that is logical.
No. It is
So you're fearful, even though you may not have anything to be fearful about.
No.
You're still fearful. So therefore, when somebody comes and they say, you need to snap out of it, because I actually had somebody told me that
Yes.
they told me that, but they didn't tell it to me in reference to my situation, but they told it to someone else.
Wow.
And I had to rebuke her. And I had to tell her, you're wrong for that. You cannot tell a person just to snap out of it. Because if you are dealing with a mental condition like anxiety, like depression, like bipolar or schizophrenia, this is not something,
No snapping.
right? You ain't just having a bad day. And that's what I want a lot of you who are fortunate enough to have not experienced the mental condition, that's what I want y'all to remember. There's no snapping out of it. We're not just having a bad day. That's not what it's about.
No.
It's an entirely different kettle of fish,
Yes. Yes.
right? So one of the other things I find, and it's kind of a pet peeve to me since I have been going through, because I realize the ignorance, and again, I'm not being offensive. I'm just saying that that's what it is. For those of you who have not experienced it, you are ignorant to the way it works.
No clue.
Yeah, you have no clue, and as a result, you can make comments,
Yes.
you can say things,
And make it worse.
and make it worse.
Yes.
Sometimes it's all the heart is in the right place,
Yes.
Right.
but because of your lack of knowledge as it
Yes.
relates to
That's
somebody
what it is. Good stuff.
going through anxiety or depression, you may tell them the wrong thing or give them the wrong advice. For example, right? I know they say, well, you just stressed out. Listen, we ain't just stressed out. I don't know how to put this. I don't know how to.
far from it.
You ain't just stressed out. This is
No.
not, because there are,
Moments in life.
right, there are moments in life, like
you
Nora
become-
said, that you can be a little stressed. Let's say you're working extra hours, or you may have experienced something in your life. Someone died, or you've not been well, and you can be what we call stressed out.
Yes.
But I want to make the clarification this morning that being stressed out
It's not.
and being anxious or depressed
Two different things.
is not the same thing.
No, it's not.
And what I find a lot of my sisters and brothers out there do, and like I say, your heart in the right place. You say, well, when I'm stressed, I do A, I do B, I do C, and you deal with the person who's actually having a mental breakdown.
Yes.
You deal with them in the way you would deal with somebody who is just stressed out. Not that I'm saying being stressed out is good, but I'm just saying being stressed out and having a mental breakdown, being in the throngs of anxiety, depression is totally different.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Anything you want to add to that, Nora?
Well, you said it all.
Yes.
It's not just being stressed. Being stressed, you make it go on the beach and relax, or just don't do what you was doing before to cause the stress. And you make it just go sleep, and you wake up the
just meant to
next
say
morning and you're good.
Right. Oh, I'm looking at Meek Sweeting there. She said, don't tell me calm down. I know, right?
Oh, I was going to say that.
Oh, my goodness.
Minx, you actually said what I was going to say after
Yes.
Krishna was done with the stressed out. Then you hear, calm down. And what makes it worse,
Right.
for those suffering with anxiety, and I'm sure y'all can relate to what it is I'm saying, My husband used to say when I had the panic attacks, and I would go to him through the middle of the night because I just want to go to the hospital because I just know that I dying. I having a heart attack. So my husband will say, "Come, baby, come. Just lay your head, put your head," and I'm like, "You want me bite you up or something?" Because he's saying to me, "Calm
laughing, but it ain't
down.
funny.
This is nothing. You telling me calm down, and I cannot even comprehend what
No,
you're saying to
no,
me.
no.
Because the only thing that I know is that my heart,
You're in
I'm
danger.
having palpitations, I'm panicking, I'm thinking that I'm dying. I'm not hearing calm down. I cannot even understand what calm down is.
I think when you say calm down, that is actually
That
pissed me
makes
off.
it, and it makes it actually, it was
I don't
never
like
even
when you
getting
tell me calm
angry for
down.
me. It was the panic attacks becoming worse because how come I cannot, how is it that I cannot calm down? So that makes me fear even more because I should calm down once you say it and you start to rub me and you say that it's going to be okay. But I'm realizing that this thing is getting worse for me.
Right.
So that calm down is truly
Yeah.
a myth. That's really one of them.
Yeah, and we're just telling those of you out there because I know in many cases you're trying to help the person who is going through the mental condition, but you really don't understand it. And the only advice I could probably give you is to really educate yourself. If you have a spouse, if you have a
Yes.
sister, if you have a child, someone that is going through anxiety or depression or anything like that, I would suggest that you use the internet to educate yourself to
Yes,
better
yes.
understand.
And you have to nurture that person almost like you nurture a child.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
have to.
You do.
Yes.
It's going to be difficult, but you have to see them now as nurturing a
Yes.
child.
Yes.
Not say
Yes.
what you would not say to a child, nurture them and, bring them back into health.
But do
Yes.
you realize, too, ladies, how family and friends take it so casually?
This
and this
is my
is
thing.
the ignorance right here.
Listen,
Because
that
they look
is-
at what you're going through
Yes.
as nothing. It's
Yes.
no big deal.
Yes.
You feeling like you just could die, dig a hole and just throw me in it and
Yes.
throw the
Yes.
dirt on me because I'm
Yes.
going to die.
Right.
And then you have someone sitting there looking like, what's wrong?
Eh? Snap out
you
of
all
it.
right? Snap out of it. Calm
my
down.
God.
You could be all right.
Let me tell you something.
Pray. Pray.
But for my case, I think the people around me really felt what I was going through because I went from straight to 360.
Oh, yeah,
and you went
Because
to an
it was
extreme.
psychosis.
Yes, it
yeah,
was
so
extreme.
they were more, let me just come into our presence and don't say anything. Or my husband would say, sir, you can't see my wife because he know that person is a bit negative. So he
Right.
would always watch those persons who would
Right,
come around me
right,
and what
right,
they say
right.
to me. So he was at, well, that's like nurturing a baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, it is.
And that is very important because, like Tali said, that was a very, very good point that she made. I have a real pet peeve with the fact that we take it so lightly.
Yeah.
As those who are our family members, our friends, we just, and some of just plain ignore the person.
Exactly.
The person is
Go the other way,
is feel like they're losing their mind, and you have some family members they're in denial.
Yes.
In fact, they figure if
Yes.
I just put my head in the sand, this gonna be over
It's
soon.
going to be over. Yes.
Yes.
And that is another huge mistake that a lot of people make, and it's one of the biggest myths because, again, having anxiety, having depression, that ain't like having a stressed out day.
No, it's not.
If today is especially stressful, sometimes Lord say He gives sweet sleep, and
Yes.
a lot of times, you go to bed, and tomorrow the sun is brighter,
Yes.
and you feel better.
Yes.
But when you're going through a mental condition, that's not the case. So somebody who's around you, or that husband burying his head in the sand, you're not making the situation for your wife any better. In fact, things are going to continue to spiral out of control. And if you don't get more proactive and really try and help by ignoring her or ignoring what she's going through, you're going to make her worse.
Yes.
Yes.
So I find that a lot of family members and friends, even though they may not be, like I said, the intention is not bad, but they figure, oh, she'll get over this.
She'll get over it.
So let me just kind of pretend like this ain't happening.
Yes, it's casual. It's treated
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
casually.
She just stress out.
She needs
And-
some sleep, maybe
Yeah.
a vacation.
Right.
And then you go on the vacation and have an anxiety attack on the vacation.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
Lord.
can't even get
Poor
on the
us.
plane. You
Oh,
can't
my
even
gosh.
you
I
can't
know.
even go on the plane because you having a panic attack and the plane is held up. I've been there where you have to blowing the brown paper bag,
Hyperventilating.
hyperventilating, and you just feel like if this plane lift off the ground, this plane could just crash and I'm gonna die.
Yes.
'Cause it's
I
constantly
frequently,
fair.
I frequently
Frequent thoughts.
feel like that.
It's constantly fair. That's what it is.
And I see Meeks is on with us today. An attack on the plane. Yes, Meeks, we've all had it. and I had an attack this past summer for me. I went on vacation and exactly what Daddy said, some stuff happened and I ended up having an anxiety attack while we were on vacation. And needless to say, it was a challenge for me for the rest of that vacation.
Yes, it was.
But you know, we know that this is temporary.
Yes.
And that once we are proactive as those of us who are battling,
Yes.
that we will get better.
Yes.
So just want to put that in there because I don't want you to feel like we can't get
Yes.
through this.
And I also think, too, the persons that call me now after suffering with anxiety and panic attacks for 21 years, the persons that call me now because I went through this.
Yes, you can identify.
If Krishna calls, I know that I have to put everything aside and I need to give her my undivided attention.
Yes,
I need to
yes,
start to
yes.
talk about the dog and I need to start to talk about the children
Yes,
and the
yes,
business
yes.
because I know I have to get her mind off what it is that she's dealing with this fear. But this is the wisdom that came to me and me
to
being
going
able
through.
now to deal with her because I know how she's feeling.
yes,
So
yes.
when she calls, I can't just be casual and say, you know, you could be all right. You could be all right.
Look
It's so
here.
insensitive. So because and it's and I think this message needs, like you say, Krishna, to get into
It
the
needs
ears
to.
of husbands and family
Right,
and
yeah.
friends.
Children.
So
Yeah.
you would and children as
Yeah.
well. And it's not just women, it's men having to deal with the
Yes,
same
because
thing.
you have some
having too
wives
much
that may
pride.
take it too casually. If their husband is
Exactly.
going through, may just be saying, "Oh, he's just, you know."
Right, and don't be, and a lot of times it's the pride thing, and
Yes,
like you dealt
yes,
with
yes,
earlier,
yes.
earlier shows, that you have too much pride to even tell somebody, what I feel like a mental case, like
Yes.
a
Yeah,
Sunderland's
yeah.
patient.
Yes, yes.
That's what this feel like. So you sit there and you torture yourself, but with this pride, not saying anything about it because you're thinking about what somebody else, what people are gonna say.
Listen.
Someone
listen.
says, Ronald, what are some of the underpinning reasons for these attacks?
The thing about it is,
That's one of
Ronald.
that's one of the myths as well, because they say that you brought it on yourself.
Right.
Yes.
Now, Ronald,
Yeah.
we have to deal with that particular topic. That's a whole
topic, yeah.
next show.
Yeah.
So for us to go into, we may not have time to go into too much of that today. But you know, there can be several reasons. Just as a brief answer to that, you know, if you sometimes some people experience a crisis in their life, a tragedy. They lose someone really close to them,
Yes.
or they are diagnosed with a terminal illness,
Yes,
or
yes.
diagnosed with any type of illness,
Yes.
or they have a child that's not well, or they have a marriage that is in turmoil,
Yes.
or they have a divorce. Your husband comes home and he doesn't want to be with you anymore. That's it. You're 20
Yep.
years down the drain. You finish. Or in some cases, even for the male, you can lose your job, you can lose your way of living.
Yes.
So there's multiple reasons why somebody can end up spiraling into a mental condition.
And I'm glad you said that just now as well, because you hear people talk about knowing that they're feeling something, because
Yeah.
you say, I'm depressed. And so I need now something to help me with this depression that I feel. This is the reason why people smoke weed.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yes.
definitely.
This is the reason
Yes,
why
yes,
some people
yes.
drink.
I know somebody. I
Because
know
you put them
someone.
on their medi.
I know someone. Unfortunately,
because you're numbing.
Yeah.
You're
and we're
trying
not,
to numb.
and we're not going to advocate the weed smoking, y'all. Just so you
No,
know,
we
because
won't.
I actually know someone, and it's an unfortunate case. She was going through this, and she turned to weed.
Yes,
Now the problem is,
because you're desperate.
she out of it now. Like the anxiety, the depression has eased up a lot on her, but she can't get off the weed.
Yeah, wow.
So now you go from one problem to the next. So as you try to cope, we have to really be careful what we use as a coping mechanism, because
Yes.
by the time you're finished with the anxiety or the depression or whatever, you may have
You're
another
not-
problem.
yeah.
You have another
Exactly.
problem. And
It's
I
another-
actually know someone right now that is in that position. You know, so, because I can tell you, boy, sometimes I tell my husband, I say, let me tell you something, I can use a drink right now.
Yes, I used to
Because
wish
you know,
I could. I used
look
to
here,
drink.
I ready to just get bust up, just
used to.
get out of this reality.
Yes,
Because you know, for me,
yes.
you all may say, well, just drink, but I'm not a drinker. You know, I'm a believer. I mean, I'll have a glass of wine with my dinner, but I'm not a drinker. But I'm just saying, the urge is there. Like, why can't I just drink myself into oblivion so that I could not be present?
Well, when I used to have my anxiety attack, there wasn't no God in me. So I
And you
light up
started
that
out.
joint and I smoked that joint and the anxiety was still there. And I get that rum and I drink as much rum as I could drink. I'm talking about wanting to just not exist.
You just
I
wanted
just
to be
didn't
done.
want to feel what I felt.
Yes.
That's how bad this
Yes.
thing is.
Yes.
And I promise you, as much as we're saying and we're trying to get those of you who do not have this thing to kind of understand and feel what we're feeling, you still cannot.
You have no idea. You have no idea.
Well, Shylock says, you know, anxiety attacks, know your triggers now. Just remember, when a person gets anxiety or psychosis or a panic attack, they really don't know what they're going through right then and there.
No.
Now we can say, this is what triggers it.
Yes.
I will not go in that avenue.
Exactly.
There are certain people who come to me that I literally, this just me. I put up a guard over my
Yes.
mind. I
Yes.
let you
Yes.
come in by the words that you speak. But when you don't speak your words, I carry that goes through a system in my mind. And I
Exactly.
drill out that system. Then I say, okay, I'll take this part of what you said. I'll take that part of what you said. Now, you don't have to do that. You say, I come from reality. That is my reality.
Yes, it
my
is.
mind have to
Yes.
be in perfect peace.
Yes.
So when
Yes.
you speak to me,
Yes.
I will drill your words and I say, okay, Nora, you can take that, you can take that, you can take that. I only think of those, I only take what you said pure, what is a good report. Now, I
Yes.
had to learn this
Learn
because
that.
words,
That is so important.
words
Yes, it
used to,
is.
That is
wor-
so
people
important.
people words used to trigger me, because as a child, I had plenty words beat me down. I was called everything bad. I was called everything.
Wow.
So when I become a Christian, you think this enemy is going to stop me?
Oh,
no.
nope.
It now affects you more.
More.
So
Right.
when you see if you say something to me wrong, I don't even get what you say yet.
No.
Because it ain't gone to here yet. It went somewhere in the atmosphere, and then I pull down whatever words I want to take from you,
Yes,
and then
good
I do
stuff.
that. Because I remember I went to a state. I was at suicide, and I only did not commit suicide because of God.
Amen.
And persons, please, those who commit suicide is not in the state of mind
No.
to say, I am going to do this. All they want to do is guess
escape.
what? It's better to be dead than
Yes.
alive than to
feel
live
what
well.
I'm feeling.
Exactly.
So you have to be more sensitive to people. Know
Yes.
what you're saying to persons.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
I was feeling really down this day, and only me one was home. And I went to a neighbor's house and I said, let me use the phone. Because the enemy knows. I said, let me use the telephone. I just need to call my husband. I'm not feeling pretty well. And I was ready at the point saying, I'm going to meet my Jesus now.
Yes, been there.
That's
Been
another
there,
topic
done
to
that.
the religious folks.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so anyway, when I went to him, I said, I just want to use your telephone. I want to call my husband. I'm not feeling well. He said, well, why don't you just go home and die?
What?
Yeah. Could you believe somebody said that to her?
Why would you say that? See, I didn't learn how to keep my mind away from negativity, but now I master it. So if you come with that now, that don't.
Oh, yes,
So when you hear me,
That's
there
the
sometimes you may hear me shout.
Yes.
You know why I shout? Because
Right,
someone
right.
said something. A sister or a brother said something to me, and it only will get to me because I look at my sister Christian, my sister Italia, and those who are part of my church family and believers family. When you say you're a Christian, I take your very word of it. My husband always
yeah,
says,
definitely,
I take your
definitely.
very word of it. So the
Definitely.
only way your words can affect me is if you're a believer, because I'm thinking you're coming to me with
whatever. So if I put my guard down, thinking you're coming to me with truth, and you say something to make me think a thought, when you hear Leonora, Yvette, Bean, Dames shout, that's because I just heard something, so I pulling down and yucking down, and I saying,
Yep.
no devil, not today. You ain't gonna send me a no suicidal, whatever. No way. So I know my trigger. My trigger is not to listen to the negative words. And when you say a negative word to me, I now hold it. So now I have to now be on my guard with believers now.
Everyone.
And I was
Everyone.
sad. No, everyone doesn't affect you.
No, but I'm saying
The ones
not
close
believers
to you,
and
yeah,
non-believers.
yeah, the ones close to you, because you could have your family members,
Yeah.
but you know how that one go.
Yeah, but I wanted to make the point what Nora was saying about the negativity, and I'll take that this time to push that in there. This is another thing that you need to learn. For those of you who do have no idea what this is like, you have to refrain as much as you can from saying negative things to the person. The person who's already going through anxiety, going through depression, they've already self-imposed a bunch of negativity.
Yes.
They are in a negative state. So as a family member, you do not need to come and tell them everybody who dropped down died. You don't need, in fact, you don't need to tell them everybody around the corner who's sick. I mean, it's the reality of it. And my husband, he had to learn it, because as I was, in the heat of it, I can't do it. I cannot, because of the state that I am in, I just mentally cannot deal with all the other million negative things going on in the world.
Yes, triggers.
Yes,
Right, because they are triggers.
Shiloh.
I'm already
Shiloh.
fighting with the fact that, oh my God, I'm going to die.
Yes.
I'm already battling that. So I don't need you to tell me. My sister, who's just 1 month older than me, she just dropped down there. This just happened, that just happened. So that's another thing you have to be cognizant
Yes,
of.
definitely.
Keeping the atmosphere for your loved one, keeping it positive as you can. I know there's some things in life that we cannot,
Right.
but just generally speaking, as a person who has somebody going through, just stay as positive as you can and keep as much negative news away from the person as possible.
Yes,
And I
yes.
want to respond to Shylock again when they said know your triggers. This is the bad part. I'll use myself as an example. I believe that one of my major triggers is my health.
Yes,
This
that's
is the
one of
bad
them.
part.
Feel the
You're already
pain.
getting no younger.
You feel the
So
pain.
what happens is there are going to come times in my life, it's the reality of it, where I'm not going to feel well. And this is where my challenge comes in. So it's not always that you can avoid your triggers. Some of us, we may have anxiety attacks if we're going to go on a plane. Okay,
Yes.
the reality of it is you could avoid flying. So if you could avoid flying, then you could avoid going through all of that.
Right.
You ain't got to have no panic attack ever in life once you ain't going on a plane.
But what when you feel a
But-
pain?
Right, but what about someone like me whose trigger is if something is unwell, I have to fight with my mind and really
That was
rely
it for
on the
me.
word of God to keep me from thinking, because the other day I just see so and so just drop down.
Yes.
Had a stroke, and in
Yes.
a week she was dead.
That was
and
it for
the
me.
next person, she was okay, and then she was dead. So now I have to fight that. So for me, unfortunately, I do know what my trigger is, but it is still something that I have to work through because it's not a trigger that can be avoided.
No.
And unfortunately, with anxiety and depression, some of the triggers, they cannot be avoided in the sense of the word. They cannot be avoided.
Yes.
I
Just
can't,
like you're just
I
feeling,
can't
yeah,
avoid having a
right.
pain sometimes. I can't avoid not feeling well sometimes. I am not in heaven yet, so this body is still,
Yes.
still
yes.
mortal.
Uh-huh.
So I just wanted to respond to that.
And what's so sad is this illness is no respect to person. I'm talking about age, gender, none of that. Because like I said, depression started for me at a very young age.
Right.
So when I was 17 and it happened in having my first boyfriend and the relationship not working out and becoming depressed and suicidal and actually almost taking my own life. Now I popped almost 50 pills and I thought, okay, once I passed out, I was going to see Jesus' face. But I woke up to a bright light with my mummy standing
Oh,
over
my
me
goodness.
with her hand and her Kimber,
didn't
like,
work.
what the heck did you just do?
Wow.
But in them referring me to a psychiatrist at the age of 17, I still had to deal with the fact that I was that young, still in school, and had to deal with my peers and how they felt about me.
Wow, that must have been so
that
difficult.
also brought on, that made the anxiety
Anxiety worse.
even worse.
And
So
young
like,
children are so cruel.
and exactly. And so like Meeks is saying, different forms of anxiety. There are different forms, and like we say, we told Shylock, different triggers. Because you have young people that have to face these same
sometimes
things.
you are forced to face what it is that, that you fear the most.
Yep.
Because it's a part of daily living and you just can't avoid it.
Yes.
So there are a lot of different types. And I see
Odette.
Odette,
Yeah, Odette said different ages.
and Odette is very young, so it's good to make
Yes,
this point
it is,
with her,
it is
you know?
different ages. And then for the school children, parents, for the school children, don't burden your children down with every curricular activity, everything in like that. Children are not supposed to be that stressed. Children don't go outside and
No.
play anymore. They don't go to swing. They don't go for little breaks, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
They don't
they-
go outside
they're not
and shoot
allowed to be
marbles.
kids.
They don't even still have marbles, but I know.
Child, I
they
think
still
you can
have
find
marbles.
them somewhere.
But you know, like when you go to school, they have homework. If you're doing high school, they have homework for math, homework for English.
Yes,
Nice.
overwhelming,
It's crazy.
overwhelming.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy.
That
Overwhelming.
could set your child. That could be a trigger.
It could
for your
be.
child and set your child into a state where, and then you know the child have to come home with an A.
Yeah,
Right.
worse.
Oh my goodness.
Worse,
Your child have to come home with
overwhelming.
an A. When I
Being bullied,
yeah,
that's
being
another
bullied
thing.
and pressured girls.
Yes.
And I
wanting
think
to look,
again-
wanting to look like the stars.
And I
My
think
nose too big.
again-
This was what it was for me when I
Yeah.
look in the mirror. I had this big old bubble
And you're so
nose.
fine.
Yeah, but back then I didn't
know,
think
I'm
so.
just saying,
This
you
was
just
what,
never, you
but
know?
this is the anxiety, and this is where depression comes from. It's being overwhelmed, and you just start feeling sad. And so as you grow, you realize that this thing, this spirit, is following you.
Right.
Yes. Now,
And that's a
yeah.
special note. I want to say a special note to parents with that because I
Yes,
think,
parents,
like Tali
teachers,
said,
yes,
it
thank
can
you.
start. For me, it didn't, but for her, it did. And even with Nora, when Nora was at her peak, she was only in her 20s.
Yes.
So the thing about it is, it's no respect of age.
No, it isn't.
So even
No.
as parents, like because of what I've experienced, I am very now sensitive to my children because children can also get anxiety.
Of
Yes.
course.
Children can also be in a state
Of
of,
course.
depression.
Yes, yes.
So as a parent now, again, the same thing we asked of you as you would deal with a husband or a friend, you now have to be very sensitive.
Watch your children.
Right, watch your children. Don't let them
Yeah.
come home and if they say something like they're stressed out, you kind of toss them
To-
aside.
yeah.
No.
Don't do that. Be very, very in tune with how they're feeling mentally. If you see them starting to become a recluse, if you see all of a sudden there's a lack of interest, you have to really be
Yes.
careful because there are a lot of stresses in our society that
Yes.
It's worse
even
now.
more
It's
than
worse.
before, they can unfortunately cause our younger kids, and when I said teenagers, to spiral into mental conditions
Yeah.
earlier
Yes.
than before.
Yes.
So I just want to caution parents that you need to take, really listen to your children and take what they're saying seriously because like Tali said, she started at 17.
Yeah. And I want to add to that because parents, even a child who doesn't want the light off, who's afraid of the dark, be very careful of what you hear them say when they mention the word, I'm scared. I don't want to, I'm scared. Don't turn off the light. Where's this coming from? Why do you not want to turn off the light? What are you watching? What
Right.
did you watch?
Right.
Yes.
Because this could blossom into something down the
Right.
line
Be
and
careful
appear
as
as
well
anxiety
be
and
careful what your
depression.
children watch as well.
Yes.
Be careful of the
Definitely.
Games, be careful of the games that your children play. And since we're on children, it's getting anxiety in children has risen.
It
Yes.
Tremendously.
It has.
Yes.
Tremendously.
We don't want to
Yes.
put that title on them either. We
tremendously.
don't want to put it, but it's what it is.
And
It's
again-
anxiety and
Right.
depression.
Right, and today we're trying to keep in line with the show is, which is debunking a lot of the myths that, well, my child, because I know sometimes I actually said it to my kid too, I said, listen, you 14.
What happened to
You're
you?
15. What you got to be stressed out about?
But
But
they
you know,
should not
it's
stress,
different, and every person is different. What a child could take, it doesn't mean that the
That
next
somebody
child
else-
could take it.
exactly.
And you know, like Nora said, there's a lot of pressures.
Yes.
School, there's a lot of pressure. Then just the exposure to social media, the stuff that we
Oh,
didn't
man.
have. It
Oh,
puts a lot of
goodness.
pressure on
That's a
them to
whole
be a
nother
certain
topic.
way, to look a certain
whole
way,
different-
to have a
Yes,
certain life.
yes,
And before you know it, you know, the child is, because we know a 17-year-old that is in the midst of, I know a 17-year-old that is in the midst of a mental condition right
Yes,
now.
I do
yes.
as well.
You know?
Yep.
So that's just a little nugget
do
for the
as well.
parents. Okay? Now time is going quickly as it normally does. Meeks, I see you right on here, girl. But you look like you're in the same boat with me. It seems like every ache you feel, you go into a panic.
Yes.
I feel your pain, but hang in there.
Oh, yeah.
And all I can tell you to do is what I do. And child, I felt something even. I was telling them last night, and I had to start praying and bringing that down and saying, Lord, in the name of Jesus. So you know, pray about that and try to just keep in the Word as you go through, because sometimes that's the only thing. In
That
many
can keep
cases,
your mind in
It's,
peace.
Yeah.
I think
keeping
when
your
you said it just now, Nora, because when we think about anxiety, depression, and all of this, this is a war that's going on
war.
in our
It's a
mind.
war.
The scripture, the Bible tells us, I will keep you in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on
Yes,
me.
yes,
So what are you thinking about?
Yes,
Think
you must
about what
what
you're
you're
thinking about.
about, yeah.
Think on those things that are lovely, like get out and look at the
Yeah.
beautiful flower. Don't focus too much on the news, like we talked
Don't
about.
watch
Don't watch the
the
news.
news.
Don't watch the
I
Death
don't
Notice
watch-
channel. My
I don't
mommy
watch
used to
the
watch the
news.
Death Notice channel.
don't
I tell her
watch
she had to
the-
shut that down. Watching the Death Notice channel straight
don't
through in the
watch
morning.
it. I
Like
don't
when you
watch it.
get up, like watch
Something uplifting.
something funny or nice beautiful stories and stuff like that, but nothing that's going to trigger. You want to deal with this mental condition, and it's you thinking and programming your mind now to take it off all of the bad that's happening in this world. And guess what? It's so much. You worry about whether this hurricane is going to hit, whether
I
look
can't
what
take
just
it.
happened.
I
They said
can't
it's a
take
new
it.
disease.
Men Matthew, oh
You know,
my
it's
goodness.
just the shooting in the schools. I wonder
Yeah,
when I
it's-
send my children to
I
school
can't
if
do
they're
it.
gonna be all
Listen,
right.
do yourself
Like,
a
it's
favor.
so
Don't
much.
watch the news, okay? Just
No,
cut that out.
don't.
Just
Don't.
cut that out. If it's
You
something
shouldn't
you
be
need to
all
know,
reading the newspaper.
if it's something you need to know, they can get to you.
Yes.
So don't watch the news. I just did myself a big favor. I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news, and I don't watch anything negative. I don't watch anything that I feel is going to be too much drama. I am
No.
into watching good stuff.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to start to wrap up a bit. And one of the things I want to mention, oh Lord, and this is a pet peeve, and it may also be a somewhat of a sensitive topic. And this is for my fellow Christians out there. Now, I'm a Christian. I have been for a long time, and I believe in the power of the Lord. But when someone is going through anxiety or depression or some other type of mental condition, you can't just tell them, pray, and let them be on their way.
No.
That's just not enough. That's just not enough, because when you're dealing with a mental condition, there are many facets of that.
Yes.
Of course, we know the spirit man is first and foremost. So there's a spiritual side, but there's a physical side, there's an emotional side, there's a mental side, and you have to deal with the person as a whole. And I find, and this is really my pet peeve, because I am a believer, but I find that many Christians are guilty of treating mental conditions very cavalier. And pretty much all they tell you is just read your Bible and pray.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying not to do that.
But haven't you been doing that?
I have been
And
doing
don't you
that.
still have
and
your
then you
mo-
still have it. You read, you still have it. You pray, you still have it. Like, oh my God, what is this? Okay, what is this? What is going on? So, and then the believers, they say, well, you don't have enough faith. You may have some believers that may actually come out and actually tell you that if you are a believer who is suffering. They may say to you, well, you know, you're just not believing in God to bring you to victory.
But the thing, the thing.
I
with
won't
that
be going
is-
through this?
Yeah, yeah. The thing
You
is
don't-
with
This
that-
voluntary?
Yeah, the thing is with that, when I was like when I say, you know, I just tell the Lord, you know, help my unbelief.
Yes.
Yes.
Help my unbelief.
Yes.
If I'm not believing, then you help my unbelief. Because if I feel like I believed. So please help my unbelief. And with the sister here, if you're not having enough faith, then be like the other two friends to come alongside her.
Exactly.
And say, you know, put her through the break off the roof to get her to Jesus.
Yes.
Because of the faith of the friends,
Yes.
the friend was healed. So, you know, you just come alongside the person that is going through and you help them. And another myth is, you'll be over it in a year, 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah,
Never
they
put a time on
frame.
it.
Never put a time.
frame.
Never put a time
And
on
I
it.
have been guilty of this, and all it does is it leads to frustration.
Yes. It causes you to be anxious.
And then the persons around you, your husband, your kids, they get frustrated.
Yes.
Because they're like, okay, is this over yet?
Yes,
When are you going to be
when?
done with this? When are we going to be?
need
Because
to
it does
live.
change the
Yes.
whole way you live your life.
Because
and
you're
though
only existing. You're not
you're only
living.
existing, and you just get frustrated. Because for me now, I'm in a 2.5 year time frame. I know exactly how long it's going to
She's counting those days. She has grabbed herself to a myth.
Yes.
Putting a time on it. Never put a time on it.
Never.
No, and I'm learning that because it only makes me, even like Nora said, more anxious and frustrated. And I don't need to
process.
add frustration onto all of the other emotions that I have to deal with. But yeah, my friends out there who are Christians, be very, very careful with how you deal with a person who's going through this because yes, there's an element of spiritual warfare to it, but it's more than that sometimes, and you can't just come from that angle. You can't just say pray and read your Bible and send them off. That is actually a very cavalier attitude to have about it. So I just want to debunk that myth that as a Christian you are not faithful or you don't believe in God, or if you are suffering from one of these conditions,
Or you have a demon.
or you have a demon.
Yep. Christians cannot be possessed. They may be oppressed, but they cannot be possessed. So, you know, triggers like don't tell them that.
Right.
And then
So-
just remember, believers, your words have power. When you come to us as believers, if we're believers, you come to us as believers, we believe that you're coming to us with the truth. So we
Exactly.
accept you. Now, you know, and we have unbelievers that go through it as well. So the unbeliever, us as Christians, we need to give them hope. And the words that we speak gives them hope. The words that the believer speaks is hope. So you have to speak life because anything comes in existence comes from the believer's words.
Exactly.
Because when God said, let there be, there was. And then he made us in his image.
Right.
And then he, just know what he do? He put his spirit in us.
That's it.
So we have life.
That's
So
it.
the words that we speak is of God
Life.
to give people life. So be careful what you speak.
Yes.
Like I would just like to take a moment at this time just to recognize our sponsors for today.
Yes.
Because I've been neglectful in my duty of that. And we are sponsored by Simply the Best, which is the best multimedia company in Freeport, in the Bahamas, in the world. So we want to thank Simply the Best for their sponsorship. We're also sponsored by the Penis Touch. Right? So we want to thank the Penis Touch. If you need a job done and done right,
Yes.
the Penis Touch. And then we also have Quick Picks. So for all your photography,
on the spot.
photography, printing on the spot needs, you can check Quick Picks. So we just want to say, hey, shout out to those sponsors. You know, this is effort, this is work, and we couldn't do it without all of them. So we just wanted to say that. Now, as we wrap up, I just wanted to go into one final myth. Because this show, I mean, we're going a little long, but you did something to cause this.
Yeah.
What you do? So you tell,
Yes.
yeah, and I'm just using husband or even significant other or your sister. You tell them, I don't know, I feel like I'm losing my mind, and the first things they throw at you, they say, what did you do? Even as a
bring it
believer,
on.
if you go to a Christian, sometimes they say, what did you do?
did you do?
Were you in disobedience to God?
the first thing.
Did you sin? Do you have unforgiveness? And I will say this. You know, we do know that unforgiveness.
Yeah, unforgiveness, not forgiving yourself. We mentioned this.
Yeah, we
last
mentioned
week.
this last week. That could
Yes.
be some of the reasons that you do experience anxiety. I'm not saying that it's not, but what I am
Then the
saying
Holy
is
Spirit would reveal the
right.
truth to
And I'm
you.
saying that's not always the case.
And we
So
have a loving father. He's a loving
He's a
father.
good-
This
he's a
is
good,
not,
good
This
father.
is not, I want to put this out there.
Go ahead.
What you're dealing with and suffering with as far as anxiety, depression, it is not
From
God.
God,
God
yeah.
didn't put it on you.
And He will work
We-
all things for your good.
All things for your good, because in my suffering of 21 years with anxiety and panic attacks and all the hell that I went through,
Yeah.
I'm
All the
able
time
now to
All the
sit
time.
here and I can help somebody and tell somebody exactly what I went through and walk you through this.
Yes.
Now, even as Nora said, truth for me was only the word.
Yes.
Now, for me and Krishna usually have this discussion and this debate as far as meds is concerned, and not that I knock it, but meds was not something that
That
I
works
ever
for
did.
her, yeah.
I've never done meds. I remember, and even being coming in and being a Christian and having to deal with this anxiety, and even reading my word and thinking that I knew God, I really didn't. And even like Nora said, when people say you have to believe, I remember them saying that to me, which even made me have anxiety more,
It
because
does,
I
and it
thought
makes
that
you
I was
that is a
believing.
beat down statement.
It is a beat down, because I thought that I was believing, but it was truly the word of God and me transforming and renewing my mind in the word. And when I said that, when I looked in the word and I realized that perfect love casts out fear, because this is what anxiety and depression is. It's fear on you. So when I thought about this perfect love, I had to go and discover and seek what this perfect love was. This perfect love was God loving me that much,
Unconditionally.
that He never would want this for me. He never put this
And
on
I think
me.
that is a very key point Ali's making, because
Yes.
sometimes people will actually tell you, even believers, they will actually tell you that God put this on you.
God did it. He allowed it to happen. But even
They
in
will tell you that.
the Bible tells us to resist the devil. Now, if it's the
Yeah,
devil that
it
sent
is
this
free,
thing my
it
way,
is free.
and this was what made me free. It's the truth of God's word that brought freedom to me. Because when I heard that I needed to resist the devil, feeling what I felt, I said, God didn't give this to me. This was what I
Right.
started to say. And I started to talk to myself. God didn't put this anxiety on me. So you know what? I'm not going to receive it. So when I feel the fear, I said, devil, no, not today. This, I have a loving Father. He loves me.
Yeah.
His love is perfect. And I cancel all fear. And I started to walk in my deliverance.
Amen.
Your
And
mind was changed.
My mind was
And where
changed
the
because of the
mind
word.
goes, the man follows.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so this was where my deliverance came in.
Yes.
But this was what I also knew. That deliverance is not a one-time thing.
No, it's a consistent-
Deliverance, because in this world, the same thing that we talk about, these triggers, these things still happen. My mother was diagnosed, doctors diagnosed her with cancer in the bone in March of this year. And that thing to me was this
Devastating.
here
That's
trigger.
major. Yeah,
And
that
so
would have
I
been a
felt
major trigger
the
normally.
anxiety coming on me again that I know that I've been rid of for so long. And so
Yeah.
when I felt that coming on, the word came
Yes.
alive. The word
That's what
coming
comes
alive.
alive.
Oh,
It's
Lord.
life. It speaks life
Yes.
to their
And,
body.
and Meeks is saying, they say it's your deeds catching up to you. No,
Not-
no.
it's a
now,
lie.
I'm not
It's a
going to
lie.
say that in some cases there are not things that we may have done in some, because in some cases anxiety can be linked sometimes to an
Yeah,
unforgiveness,
yeah,
to an unforgiving heart. But in many cases, it kind of just happens. You know,
And there's some another
and
myth,
and it doesn't mean that you did something to bring it on.
another myth is, well, you know, that come
I
from your
think that's what-
parents too.
Yeah,
you know,
I
that
think
kind of thing.
Satan wants you to
Believe
believe that,
that,
because
yeah.
that's bondage.
Right.
When you really think about
Right.
that, I did something wrong, but God
Right.
is a forgiving Father.
Right.
And so when you think that I did something wrong
But-
to bring this thing on
Yeah,
me,
I
that
thought
only
that,
could
yeah.
But
be
we
I
have
thought
to
that,
be,
I
but
thought
we
that.
have to be very careful,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
what I'm saying, and I hate to, you know, for me, I'm a believer. My two sisters are believers, so I'm in no way pressing down on believers. But I just need to
No.
be completely real.
Yes,
and
let's-
real talk.
It's real talk.
real talk.
Let's get it
And
out there.
unfortunately, especially the believers, they have a way of making you feel as if it's something that you did in the face.
Yes.
And then once you start to feel like that, you feel condemned. And then that doesn't help you, because feeling condemned only makes your situation worse. When in some cases, you know, you may have done nothing. You know, there's so many, listen, we have so many different
This is a
causes.
physical body.
Yeah, this is a physical body. You know, some women, when they're going through menopause, they have it more. You know, because it becomes, there's so many other causes, hormonal, blah, blah, blah. But in any event, In many cases, you did not do something to cause it, and that's what we need to family members and friends to know. Let's stop looking at the person and thinking that they did something to bring it upon themselves, because you're condemning them, and that is in no way going to help them work through what they're going
Now
through.
let's do the Baptist thing. In conclusion,
In conclusion, in conclusion, we just want to say to you that anxiety, depression, a lot of these mental conditions are never logical. Sometimes you look at a person and you say, but everything is going good in your life. Why are you anxious? It's not about that. It's not about that. Sometimes you look at a person, you know, everything is okay, they're depressed. Why are you depressed? And I'm going to tell you, I say, Lord, I have to get chasing for this one, because before I went through this, I would look at people with depression and I would be like, why are you depressed? Why can't you snap out of it? Right? But I realized that many times it has nothing to do with your situation. You could actually be living a fairly decent life externally. I'll use myself an example. I'm not living a bad life.
Yeah,
I'm not starving. You know, I'm not in a marital crisis. You know, I'm not in a sick crisis, but I am still battling. So just want to leave that last train of thought with you. Do not try and figure it out as a loved one, because what your person is going through is not logical. So don't try and make logic of it, because it's just not going to be logical. Sometimes there's absolutely no reason that we can pinpoint. It just happens. So I hope that the show today has really encouraged those out there who have loved ones. Yes, and for those of you who have loved ones, I hope that the loved ones have realized that, listen, we ain't just stress out. And to treat mental conditions with the seriousness they need to be treated with, so that, and the sensitivity, so that you can help your loved one get better.
yes,
10 seconds,
yes.
Noah. What would you like to say?
I think we said a lot today. Just make sure my heart goes out to the children that are overwhelmed with schoolwork and life. So parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, look at those you know, the young people. You know, just give them a break. Let them live life as children.
Okay, and what would you like to
But my
pass it
10
down?
seconds is
Yeah.
you're looking at hope.
Exactly.
This is a 21-year
Both of them, yes.
sufferer, and I am out and delivered. I am free from anxiety and depression. So I'm saying to you today that there is hope for you. Be encouraged.
Yes. And with that, my beautiful brothers and sisters, we're going to sign off. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next week, same time, same place. And we want you to know that you will get through this. Blessings. Awesome job, sisters. Yeah, I know. Thank you.